English and story, a new home on the prairie. Well, children, this is it, our new home, Pa said, pointing to a wide field and forest. Tim, Emily, and Beth looked out the back of the covered wagon and saw nothing but tall weeds and trees. I don't see anything, Pa. Where is it? Asked Beth, looking around. Why, it's right here. You see, in time we'll have a cabin and a barn and a field of crops, Pa said with a smile. Tim, Emily, and Beth looked at each other confused. Where were the other houses? What about the stores and streets? How could they possibly live there? Here. Mom, Pa, Uncle Jonas, and the children got down from the wagon and walked around. It was May, and there was a gentle breeze blowing across the prairie. The tall weeds shook in the wind, and the trees in the nearby grove swayed back and forth. The adults knew that turning this section of land into a home would require a lot of hard work. They also knew that it would be worth it. Jonas, I can see it all in my mind, Pa exclaimed, looking around. The cabin can go here, the barn over there, and farther back we can plant the corn. Mom and Pa and the children had lived in Philadelphia, but Pa had had a hard time making a living there as a printer. When he and Ma heard about free land in Missouri, they decided to take a chance and move. Uncle Jonas was Pa's brother, and he too wanted to make a new life. They sold many of their belongings with a covered wagon and made the long, dangerous journey. It was an extremely rough ride for T, who was 11, Emily, who was 9, and Beth, who was 5. Now, the first thing we need to do is build a shelter. We're going to stay in the shelter until we get our log cabin built, Pa explained. Then he and Uncle Jonas took axes from the wagon and walked off toward the woods to gather some tree branches and logs. Come, children, we are going to pull up some of these weeds so there's a place for the shelter, said Ma. Where are we going to eat lunch? Asked him. We need to be responsible and get some chores done first, Ma answered firmly. The family slept in the wagon while the shelter was being built. Pa and Uncle Jonas used logs and branches to make a structure that had 3 walls and a roof. It was not a very strong shelter, so Pa warned the children not to jostle it, or it might fall down. On the third night, the family prepared to sleep in the shelter for the first time. They placed their blankets on the ground and got in. It was not very comfortable. I don't like heat here, Emily said quietly to Beth. I want to go back to Philadelphia, replied Beth sadly. For the next 6 weeks, Pa and Uncle Jonas worked on building the log cabin. Tim helped Pa as much as possible, while Ma and the girls prepared the meals and worked the land. At sundown, the mosquitoes came out in full force, and the children tried their best to keep the bugs off of them. I'm getting bit again, exclaimed Emily, scratching her arms. Come sit by the fire. The smoke keeps the bugs away, replied Pa. We never got beat up like this back home, Tim muttered to Emily. Finally, the cabin was built, and the family moved into it. The children were still unhappy with their new home, however. Ma, can we please move back to Philadelphia? Tim asked one day. We don't like it here. Tim, this is your home now. It's the place where you're going to live until you're an adult, said Ma kindly. I miss my friends and my house, he said. Ma was attentive and listened to Tim. Then she gave him a big hug and told him that he would get used to it here soon. But Tim just wandered away sadly. One day in mid-July, Ma and the children were standing in front of the cabin talking about the chores that needed to get done. Just then, a rabbit darted out of the tall weeds nearby. Chased by a red fox, both Beth and Emily ran straight into Ma's arms. The rabbit tried to avoid the fox, but a moment later, the fox pounced on the rabbit and dragged it away. That's why I tell you to always watch out for wild animals, Ma said. I want to go back into the cabin, declared Beth. She ran off and Emily quickly followed. That afternoon, the skies darkened, and the wind picked up. A storm is coming, said Pa to Ma. Ma walked out to the field where the children were picking weeds. Children, come back to the cabin now. A storm is coming, she said, just as they reached the front door. A loud clap of thunder boomed in the sky, and there was a flash of tightly as heavy rain poured down from the sky. The children huddled in the corner with Ma, as frightened as they had ever been. Pa and Uncle Jonas looked at the ceiling of the cabin, hoping it would not collapse. The wind kept blowing and some of the mud caked between the logs of the cabin blew off. Rain came into the cabin and got the floor wet. The thunder and lightning continued too. Ma did her best to comfort the children. Finally, after an hour, the storm passed. A few days later, the children were still unhappy. Ma said to Pa, we have to somehow help these children accept their new life here. The next morning, Pa and Ma took the kids out to the field. Now, look at there, Pa said, pointing to the open prairie. What are some things you can do out there? There's nothing to do here, replied Tim. You say that because you're used to Philadelphia, Pa said. However, there are all kinds of things you can do out here. You can catch bugs and fish and frogs. You can climb trees. You say there's nothing to do, but actually there's everything to do. It's a contradiction, but it's true. This place has nothing and everything. Then Ma said, from now on, we want you to have fun here because this is a truly special place to live. The children looked at each other puzzled. They really hadn't thought about things quite that way before. Emily, let's go look for some frogs, declared Tim with a smile. The children ran off. Ma and Pa looked at each other and smiled. Now they knew everything was going to work out just right. Thanks for watching this video till the end.